When learning centers work well, they are like amazing, efficient education machines. How can you make them work smoothly in your classroom? One word: prepare. You've got to prepare the space, the lessons and learning materials, the schedule, and you've got to prepare your students. Learning centers may make a classroom look and sound disorganized, maybe even chaotic to people who aren't familiar with them. But the learning is real and the chaos is the look and sound of learning. So let's start by looking at the physical space and how that's used in a learning and literacy center classroom. No more rows. Centers are set up so students can collaborate as small teams. This is easily achieved by pushing desks together, grouping students around lab counters, library tables, or computer stations, setting up reading centers and open corners, whatever works for your situation, as long as students are positioned to work independently or in small teams rather than all facing front. Your classroom is really good to go. Put written instructions, lesson options, and reading materials at the centers before students arrive, if possible. In order to get the best results from learning centers, offer students a choice of materials. Choice matters. Adolescents in particular exhibit more enthusiasm when they have a choice in their assignment or reading materials. Granting them some independence means they're more likely to complete their activity. So whenever possible, give students a choice, even a small one, in how to execute an activity. Letting students choose between 2 or 3 texts about the same content, for example, yields great benefits and is a step in the gradual release of responsibility that we all want to work for in our classrooms. Next, let's look at how you create a schedule. A literacy and learning center period begins with the teacher presenting a mini lesson to the full group. It's large group instruction, it's guided instruction, it's teacher-led instruction. The students explore the topic or skill that was introduced in the mini lesson at various learning centers. The mini lesson should really be mini. If it goes beyond about 10 to 15 minutes, then it's really no longer a mini lesson. And once you complete that mini lesson, then it's on to the centers. How long should each literacy and learning center take? I get that question a lot. As a rule of thumb, I suggest that centers last about the age of the participants. What we know from neuroscience is that our attention span tends to be our chronological age times 1. So middle school students should have centers that last about 10 to 12 minutes, and high school students can have centers that last between 15 to 18 minutes. Most teachers find it easiest to write out their center schedule at first. Some create nice fancy schedules using word processing software. Some just use pencil and paper and post it at the front of the classroom or at the different tables. After using literacy and learning centers for a while, most teachers discover that you can skip a lot of the advanced planning and just begin to start using a timer and some of the directions and schedules that they've used in the past. Because once you find a schedule that works for you and your students, you can use it over and over again. The activities may change, but the timing generally stays the same. And because each student and each team work at a different pace, which is also recognizing that students learn and work at different paces, I always like to end with a makeup session. And this is a way for students to have the chance to review what they've worked on and finish up tasks. Finally, how do we prepare our students for literacy and learning centers? When I introduce literacy and learning centers, and many of the teachers that I work with all over the country, I give students an opportunity to practice transitioning from center to center. 5 or 10 minutes of rehearsal and practicing transition is more effective than an hour of explanation. The goal is to have students move from center to center quickly and efficiently so that they can focus on the next activity in the next center as soon as possible. This is how, with learning centers, students spend more time actually encountering new content and practicing their literacy skills. And because students are busy and actively engaged with the material and each other, there's no time for zoning out.